And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. As always, make sure you visit our good friends down at the Holy Grail at the Banks. They will get you taken care of. Great food, cold drinks, and a great atmosphere, especially this time of year. If you're headed to a Reds game or if you're just going to go down there and enjoy the festivities without giving the Castellinis your money, there's no better place to go than the Holy Grail. And Dave, we got to work on something. We got a segment we got to come up with next week as we introduce a new sponsor into the show.
Okay. Wonderful.
And we're going to have to probably move that flag. We're going to have something for you to put behind you.
All right. That works.
There we go.
I don't know how you're going to get it to me, but sure.
I'm going to mail it to you.
Well, all right.
They're going to mail it to you.
Okay.
It's a product I'm really excited about.
I will. Hey, if we're getting paid for it, I will gladly show it off.
Let's get right to it. We are joined, special guest this week, the newest member of the Bearcat Journal family, my friend and a young guy in this industry that has a very bright future. He is a Cincinnati native. He is somehow about to graduate college and come back to town and get on the Bearcat Journal train. Welcome, Keegan Nicholson. Keegan, what's going on?
Yes, I'm happy to be here. You know, you had Tyler Scott Monday, and now you have me. I don't know which one's more important or the bigger guest, but I think I can contribute a little bit.
We'll get way more views tonight.
Dan Horde, Tyler Scott, Keegan Nicholson. So, not that you've got a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
But let's get to it. You are a Bearcat, even though you're getting ready to graduate from IU.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a little bit of the Keegan Nicholson backstory as the room fills up, and you can let people kind of know where you came from, how you got where you're at, and where you're at in this business.
Yeah. So. Graduated from Ross High School in 2019, played baseball there all 4 years. I thought I was good enough, and I think I was good enough to play JUCO baseball. So I went to Danville Area Community College in Illinois for 2 seasons. Lost my freshman year to COVID, and then lost my second year to a blown hamstring in the first weekend of the season. So then I turned into the social media manager of the baseball Twitter account. But I always knew I had a passion for sports media. I was doing play-by-play of the basketball games at Danville. So I kind of just fell back on my love for writing, love for journalism. Transferred to Indiana. Knew I wanted to get involved, replied to a job posting with Rivals and the Hoosier.com. And since that day, when it was just a shot in the dark, sent in my resume, I've covered probably 100 if you count AAU events, probably 150 to 200 Indiana related athletic events, basketball, football, all of it. And now I'm here. So I'm back, grew up rooting for UC, been through all the hell. I don't know what the hell was like before I was born in 2000, but it's been a lot of fun. So I'm really, really excited to get back with this new transition to the Big 12. Really important year for the Bearcats.
What it was like before I was born in 2000.
I hate this guy already.
Oh yeah.
You got anything for him, Dave? We'll let Dave grill you. Put the bright light on him, Dave.
Grill me.
So why did you go to Indiana when your illustrious baseball career ended and not come back to UC?
Well, I had always known that Indiana's sports media program was different, so I could graduate with a degree in sports media and a specialization in journalism. I hadn't heard anything really incredible about Cincinnati's journalism school or their sports journalism program. And I guess kind of adopted by Indiana a little bit, being on the state line there in Illinois. But I had heard about it. I actually enrolled before even visiting. I really love this place, to be honest with you. The campus is absolutely ridiculous. The borderline insane passion for the basketball team has really made my position at thehoosier.com necessary. So that passion really pushed me to be a better writer. And the college is great, and I'm proud to be an Indiana Hoosier.
Were you in attendance for the hottest football game in Indiana University history when the University of Cincinnati Bearcats came in and LEO'd themselves all over Mr. Allen and his favorite son, Micah McFadden?
Yeah, so that was my second game covering the football team, and it was only my second game being in the press box and being in that press box setting. So I wouldn't say my journalistic integrity was up to par at that time. So when I think it was Tim Baldwin fumbled on the goal line and Beavers recovered it, and that was like Indiana was threatening, like they were going to come back and win this game. When that fumble happened, I had like a little reaction, and then I had to like calm myself down. But that game was awesome. I remember calling my dad walking out like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just got to sit in a press box and watch that game. And then that was kind of the flip of the switch there for that magical season. So
Well, it was much better than sitting in the stands because you would have died as they ran out of water and beer and
yeah,
people didn't get in until halftime. The Hoosiers did not put on a very good fan experience that day. I think I saw some letters being sent out after the game from the administration.
Yeah, Memorial Stadium is not a haven for
good college
concessions.
Football.
I mean, that's a completely different issue that we're gonna have to tackle. Yeah, Memorial Stadium is not a great setting for college football, and the large percentile of the NIL just gets straight to the basketball program and trying to bring in transfers, recruits, try to keep guys, as we saw last season. And it's a very, very rare case where a school completely puts football on the back burner. And the whole situation with the buyout for Tom Allen has kind of put him back in the corner. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit. They got to have a couple magical seasons, especially in the Big Ten, to kind of maybe get a renovation, maybe get a whole new stadium. But then there's a conversation of what do you do with Assembly Hall, and do you tear that down? Do you renovate it? So it's going to be a long time.
Well, now that you've graduated and you're back.
Almost. He's not there yet.
Almost graduated. Almost back here. What are you most looking forward to about covering the Bearcats? Are you a football guy, a basketball guy? Are you into the Big 12 move? Does it not matter to you? Did you grow up loving UC football or basketball? Like, kind of take me through that.
Yeah, so I grew up being in Ross. You would be surprised. I think I had 3 or 4 friends that were UC fans, and everyone else was Ohio State. So I was constantly being attacked by everyone at Ross who was Ohio State fans. And I just constantly had to defend myself against like the bigger brother, I guess. But yeah, I grew up, and one of my favorite games, I don't know if you guys remember this. My brother took me to the Marshall game when Marshall came in. What year was that? 2015, 2016. And Marshall would not miss from 3 at all. Like, I think it was like 100. Yeah. Troy Copain gets the teardrop at the end off the rebound. Yeah. Everybody
had no business winning that game.
Zero business winning that game. So yeah, I had a lot of good memories. The Nevada loss still gives me nightmares, and me and my friends talk about. Yeah, we don't speak about Nevada.
Game we don't speak of. I was there. It was
really.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Not great.
Me too.
Yeah, but in terms of what I'm excited for, I can't get Bob Huggins coming back to Fifth Third Arena out of my head. I think that's going to be a really, really cool experience.
gonna be hard.
I'm football, basketball, everything, recruiting, trying to keep up with all of it. So I can span a pretty wide area there.
Well, there's certainly been a lot to keep track of. I mean, Chad and I will get on here quite often and be like, what are we going to talk about? And then there's a lot on this, if you want to call it beat. We don't take ourselves that seriously, but, there seems to always be something going on.
Yeah.
Imagine, Dave, spending all that money for a degree and you come out of it working for us.
Yeah, I hope mom and dad, hope you had some nice grants and scholarships and things of that nature.
I got a decent scholarship. It's not decent. I got a good scholarship. And the out-of-state tuition for 2 years at Indiana is still going to add up if I had went to a UC or Ohio State for all 4 years.
Well,
so that's something that I don't speak of.
Higher ed is a racket, and I advise anyone to not go to it at this point. But that's neither here nor there.
It's got me on StreamYard with you guys right now, so I'm happy that I did it.
Yeah, I don't think going to Indy, like, you probably could have just been a dude on Twitter and gotten on this shit. Like, you didn't need to fork over 40, 50 grand to Indiana to get on this show. That's for damn sure. I'm on it, for God's sakes. Chad's on it. Like
Dave was not hired for his journalistic integrity. I'll tell you that much right now.
No, that's funny.
he brings his cat onto the show every week.
Yeah.
Well, you don't bring your cat onto the show. The cat is just decided to be part of the show.
Yeah, she's not happy with us right now, so I don't know if we'll see her tonight.
That's not even bringing up my story on how I got started here.
Aaron just called me drunk one night and was like, "How are you?"
We're like the AAC of podcasts and networks. Yeah. Like, hey, bring your crippled, bring your decrepit. Like,
exactly,
we'll take you all.
It is what it is. It is what it is. So was this like you're like you had this mapped out when you started like hanging around at AAU events? Like, hey Chad, what's up? Like, were you like, when I get done with here, like I've got my eyes set on moving back home?
Well, I knew it was always something that I was going to pursue. The interesting thing about this field right now is if you get a job with Gannett or Lee or McClatchy, you're always basically every month you're on the line for being laid off or being furloughed. So this 247 and On3, not so much rivals anymore. But it's kind of taking over a little bit in terms of college coverage. Like, you see The Athletic is laying off people. So I always knew it would be a good idea. I've seen what Peegs has done in Indiana. They've got the market cornered, and I knew that that's what BCJ was for Cincinnati. So I always knew it was a good idea.
Go ahead for a second, Dave.
So am I correct in saying you will be at the spring game Saturday?
Yes, I'll be at the spring game.
So you're going to make that awful. Are you in Bloomington currently?
Yes,
I'm in Bloomington. So you're going to make that hellacious drive to come watch glorified practice.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking forward to seeing the defensive line, offensive line matchups. I think having Briggs and Corleone is one of the maybe more underlooked parts of this Cincinnati team. What's up, Pickle? Or no, that's not Pickle. Chad's is Pickle.
No, okay. This is Pickle.
That's Pickle?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Briggs and Corleone is a really interesting thing that I'd like to see. I know Satterfield is talking about how thin they are at wide receiver. So I think that's an opportunity for someone to really show out and kind of pop off the page if they can make a couple plays. But then really just to see what they need to stack up on with the portal opening April 15th, I think it was.
Yes, I'll tell you, wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
I mean, I'm not kidding. They have 7 guys, and one's a walk-on who's actually been pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean,
tight end might be right up there as well at this point.
It is, but I mean, you usually carry 12-ish receivers, and to only have the numbers that they do, I mean, I wouldn't be now. Granted, there needs to be viable options, but 3 to 4 guys who's not out of the question to be added if those guys exist.
Yeah, which I think if you're gonna go in the portal and look at some guys, and you're gonna tell them, hey, you can come to this school which has some of the most momentum in the country, and you can be one of the guys offensively at receiver. I think that's a great pitch. I think that's something that a lot of people would be interested in. Yeah, there's definitely snaps.
Definitely snaps.
Also, looking at the running back situation, I know Montgomery and Kiner offer a really interesting tandem. And if Kiner can kind of just put it all together, playbook standpoint, I think he can be what a lot of people thought he could be coming out of high school if he were to choose Cincinnati. So,
yeah, I'm interested to see. I was there yesterday. Interested to see in more of a. It's still going to be a scrimmage per se, but I mean, Scott talked about 125 plays, so it might be variations. It's not going to be like an actual game, but there's going to be plenty of, team stuff. And I'm interested to see the running backs too, because I think Miles this is his opportunity. I think in this run scheme with the stretch zone and the wide zone stuff, he has an opportunity to kind of, I think, differentiate himself from Corey a little bit, in that he can find that crease and cut on that cutback and go 70, where I think Corey can do the same thing, but probably go 30 to 40, just depending on the play. But Miles has that home run ability. But I mean, the backfield has a lot of options. The offensive line seems to be coming together. If you can't complete a pass, though, what does that mean to what the defense is trying to do? So, we'll see about that. Let me see what else for Saturday. Just basketball. I guess we'll switch to basketball a little bit. UC added a got a commitment from a transfer.
We're gonna do. I walked outside for a second. We're done with football already.
Well, asking Keegan about football, I didn't know.
He's going to stick around for the show. He said we got him as long as he wants him. He needs to learn what that means here on Bearcat Journal.
Well, on this show, it's different than on other shows.
At times, sure.
On this show, we have a very hard and fast 2-hour rule. On other shows, not so much.
That was like Tyler on Monday. We're like, how long we got you? He's like, how long you need me? I'm like, don't
say that.
Don't say that.
How long do we got you? He's like,
how long would you like to be on here?
He said 30, 40 minutes, and we went an hour 10.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if you were back yet, so that's why I was trying to, if you want to ask me stuff about practice, or if you want to talk more football, we can talk more football. I thought I was just.
There's something going on. Somebody rang our doorbell. The dogs went crazy, and then there was nobody at the door. So it's probably the idiot little 8th grade boys that live 2 doors down that I'm going to have to break their kneecaps.
Yeah. Take them out.
I was an 8th grade boy once. I know why they're ringing my doorbell.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But no, we can stick on football. Like I said, I was at practice on Saturday.
Pepper him with questions, Keegan. You're the new guy
Wednesday.
here. Let's hear what you want to hear.
Well, I guess the storyline is what's Emory Jones been like. Is he a guy that can take that spot and flourish, or is it going to be Ben Bryant hitting the deep balls but struggling mid to short?
I mean, I only saw one practice, so I'm not the best person to answer that. Chad has seen, even his limited time that he's been able to be there, has seen more than me. And the way that they've done practice, they are really emphasizing installing probably, I'm not going to say too much, but installing as much as they can. And then they'll pair it back in the fall and in game plans. So they haven't done a ton of team stuff. So it's hard to get a read on Emery, especially because he's not really able to use his dual threat abilities. I mean, if I'm handicapping what I saw in one day and what I've heard, I mean, I would lean towards Ben having the edge right now, which is pretty remarkable because I think I'm a lot of things. I'm not a doctor. I think he's about like 2 months ahead of where realistically he should be from like Liz Frank surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the hope was by the end of spring he would be doing some like one-on-ones.
Yeah, like it's a 4 to 6 month deal to like just start like getting back into stuff, like, and to be out there pretty much full go. I mean, I don't think he is technically full go, and obviously they won't be full go.
He's not going to be live.
The quarterbacks won't be live on Saturday, but you know, I think I would say he has an edge. Now I don't know if that's a huge one or a small one, so I'm sure things can still be determined.
And this is something else that
just been better so far, but
better. Okay.
But again, they're not running the quarterbacks. Like they have done some RPO install stuff and stuff where Emery has gotten to run a little bit, but he's not live, so you don't really get to see like the full like who he is as a runner. But I mean, I think it's been pretty clear that Ben has been better so far, but you have to take it with the caveat that it's not fully factoring in what Emery is capable.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot going on there. Ben recovering from injury, both of them learning a new system. Emery learning his third system in 3 years.
Yeah.
A very shallow wide receiver pool, a new offensive line going against, what is easily the best position group on the team. Like, I don't think the quarterbacks are really going to stand out, kind of regardless of who's necessarily playing the best. They both have a lot stacked against them in the spring.
Yeah. What about, is Dragish kind of that guy that's lining up to take over next year? Is he that good from what I'm hearing?
I mean, the dude is talented. He's athletic. I'm hesitant to just like automatically pencil in what would likely be a redshirt freshman to just be your starting quarterback in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows how that's going to go. He throws a real nice ball. He threw a real nice looking ball that I noticed yesterday, but he also underthrew it. And, if the two DBs didn't plow each other out, it probably would have been an interception. So he's got a ways to go, but like most freshmen would. But I think he fits, what they want in a quarterback. Like, he is a runner, and more so a runner than I'll just run when I need to. Like, they can do some design stuff with him, but he's also, for an I'm going to just say 18-year-old. I don't know how old he is, but for a 18-year-old freshman, he's pretty advanced as a passer. Like, his high school team ran pretty much the spread, and they were really, really successful, his last 2 years there. So, I think there's a lot to be encouraged with him. But again, I mean, it's hard to really go too far out on a limb at this stage. The guy's played 12 college practices.
I will say this. I have a friend who's a pretty accomplished quarterback coach who was at one of the first practices and said that his mechanics were probably the most sound on the team, just from a natural, like, his arm slot and how he, gets the ball out and all the things that a quarterback coach would look for. Dragish had those intangibles, those natural, because throwing, like, your throwing motion, it can be fine-tuned. It can be, tweaked, but it naturally is, for the most part, what it is. And I know this guy who's coached some pretty damn good quarterbacks over the years, felt like he was like, is 12 the true freshman? I was like, yeah, that's the young kid. He's like, man, he's got it up by his ear. He gets it out quick. There's no wind up. There's no wasted movement. Like he just has that. Somebody when he was little, or that's how he started doing it. Like somebody has him on the right track in terms of the mechanics of being a passer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, we say all this, and then there could just be some like skinny kid that comes in at the Rose Bowl after a stupid fumble and then takes a team to a playoff that no one knew about. So,
yeah, I mean, for about 10 years in a row before Dez kind of made his mark, they went through multiple quarterbacks and sometimes even 3 or 4. So
Gunnar Keel was a goat
for at least like half a season. That's my all-time. So that's my all-time prediction, Keegan. I have 2 actually. So every year before the season starts, Chad and I go through the schedule and we predict every game. And in 2021, I predicted the Bearcats would go undefeated. And I don't think I predicted they would go to the playoff because that was just ridiculous to even consider going into the year.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's my good. My bad prediction is that the one Gunnar Keel year, I also predicted they would go undefeated, and they went 6-6. So that one wasn't so good. So I also was driving the Gunnar Keel hype train and was looking real good after they hung 60-something on Toledo, but it did not bear fruit the way I would have hoped.
Yeah, but that shot to Chris Moore in Columbus, just wrapped up the whole season.
If
that
only they didn't give up 700 and something yards and 50 something points.
Look, if that game could have just been it's Chris Moore versus Eli Apple.
Yeah.
Because without a missed interference, he probably has 4 catches for 240 yards.
There were some
and 4 touchdowns.
Super fishy calls in that game as the game was like kind of technically still in the balance. I remember an offensive pass interference on Johnny Holton that was just absolute dog shit. But yeah, we couldn't. I mean, they could. If they had just kept playing that game, Ohio State would have just scored as many points as allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're only allowed to score so many points.
And Gunnar Keel would have died because Joey Bosa would have hit him again.
And again.
Well, after he hurt him the first time, and Gunnar somehow stayed in.
Yeah.
But no, I'm. Let's see what else. Ask me something else, Keegan. Come on.
Ask me something
else.
Chad
usually does the asking. So,
what's your favorite helmet that
this is easy. Easy. Black helmet, C-Paul on one side, numbers on the other, white face mask.
No, I think the dark red with the stripes, the one that Kay and Kelsey wore in the Belk Bowl.
Oh,
I think that will go down as the best.
With the diamond cutter for no.
That was a great helmet.
It was.
That was an awesome helmet.
That's not the best one.
The one that Jason gave Travis's away in the stands.
Yeah, after. No, it wasn't in a bar.
Story.
Yeah, in the bar.
Bar.
Travis gave Jason the helmet after the game and said, like, hang on to this. I want to keep it. And then they went out to the bar and Travis came in and his helmet was just somebody had it on. It was gone.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was a great helmet. But
yeah,
forget the numbers, Dave. Just black classic C-Paul. I do love the white face mask on the black helmets.
Yeah, that uniform combo is unmatched.
Yep, black jerseys, white pants.
Black helmet with the white face mask. Dave loves that one. That's his jam.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get back to practice, Dave.
Okay.
Anything else stand out? Anybody else? Like everybody wants to talk quarterback. We talked running back. Offensively, did anything else catch your eye? Shaman had a good end of the practice.
Yeah, just the line. I thought, I tried to watch them as much as I could when they're doing a lot of half line drills. It's fun to watch them, do things that I know what they are, and then can imagine seeing that in a game instead of whatever the fuck they were doing the last 2 years in the run game. But you see a lot of half line stuff where they're really trying to get down the line with their head. You always see them with their head in front, where they're not even really necessarily blocking. They're just trying to shield, like just get in front of the defender, the defensive lineman, because they're going to flow too. So you've got to get out in front of them and get your head kind of in front of them, and then their back is just going to kind of pick where he cuts off of. So I just feel like there's just a lot of easy 5-yard runs in this style of offense. And we saw a lot of that at the end of practice. They did some, I won't call it goal line, and I won't even call it red zone. It was like starting at the 9 or 10 yard line. And you just saw 5 yards, 8 yards, 9 yards, touched it. Like, I feel like in this offense, if you block it up right and you get guys to the outside, that there's just, we saw it in the bowl game. How many just easy runs did they have that set up 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, and then you keep stretching them, and then you break one off. So Barry Jackson, I thought, was impressive for a freshman. He got open a lot. He caught everything that I saw. He seemed to have adequate speed. The defense is significantly ahead of the offense, but I expect that for a myriad of reasons.
Jack Dingle had a good day.
Yeah.
He was in the backfield a lot.
Dante Corleone's a dude. I will say it right here on April 12th, 2023. This is the last year he'll be playing for the Bearcats.
How good of a dude
minus
is he high first round?
I should say if he plays all potential games. Yeah. No, he's not, because he's a nose tackle only. He's short, and those guys just don't get drafted in the first round. Like Jalen Carter. Aaron Donald ran like a 4.5 and weighs 30 pounds less than Dante Corleone.
Dante runs a 4.5, yeah. Yes, sir.
But he's, just good luck moving him, man. And he's getting up the field. Made several plays in the backfield. I think the defensive line has a nice mix. They have the kind of the stalwarts, Dante, Jawan, Malik. I'll even throw Watley in there. And then they have some guys that I want to see take a jump. Like, they need Jamal Williams to take a jump. They don't have that. We're always gonna call it the Myjai Sanders guy until someone else comes along and kind of is that prototypical edge rusher type guy. So they need someone like him to take that step to where they're not this kind of, where they have more than just the bully 3-down lineman philosophy. Like, they're going to get some rush from Greziak. They're going to get some rush from Dorian Jones. But he's kind of the piece to me that needs that. If he could step up, and Jaheim Thomas has been out, they'll get some from him. But he's kind of that guy that I'm looking at, is when you go strictly 4 down, does he come in, and can he be the guy that is that just pure pass rusher 3rd down? I'm going to go get the quarterback, because they don't really, I don't see that guy right now.
Yeah, I think just having that front 4 that can really get in there and just cause a bunch of havoc for the quarterback. And then you mix that with Deshaun Pace at the star position, who Satterfield's just been griping on how many turnovers he's been getting. That's going to lead to a lot of successful defensive plays that turns into touchdowns for the offense. So I think that's something that can be a huge factor.
Surprisingly comfortable playing more of a nickel.
Well, I asked you yesterday, like, how's he been in coverage? And you said, a lot better than I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see when, in the Big 12.
And, like, for comparison's sake, like, Arquan was a corner playing the nickel. Deshaun looks more like a safety playing the nickel to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's not as, like, Arquan was very quick twitch, like, could kind of step for step speed with those smaller guys. Deshaun, it's going to be a little bit more physical, a little bit more like a bully.
He's going to be your power slot.
Yeah.
That is good to have against Kansas State, which I don't even think we play next year. But like their style of offense. But then they will need to, I think, this will be years down the road, so Deshaun might not even be here. But like against Baylor or Texas Tech, I'm not sure if he fills that same type of, or Kansas, like fills that same type of position to where you need more of like your true coverage slot guy. So, but we'll see. I mean, we're not playing all these teams this year, and who the hell knows who's on the roster next week, let alone next year. Mitchell asks, is there any portaling needed for the defense? I would say safety possibly, but
I don't know. Like with DJ Taylor back there, you've like
I just said possibly, but like
yeah, I'm just saying like right now you've got Brian Threats. You've got Omarion Smith. He's been out a little bit this spring, but it doesn't look like anything that's like long term. You've got Taj Ward, who has looked really comfortable at safety, maybe more so than he did as a nickel. And you've got DJ Taylor, who's made a lot of plays this spring. It sounds like, unfortunately, Jack Dingle probably will not be around, or Jacob Dingle probably will not be around for this season. After breaking a vertebrae in his neck. But I mean, I don't know. Like I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying they do have, I think, 4 guys they're pretty comfortable with back there. And they might have to use every one of those spots on a wide receiver.
That's what I mean. Like I'm sure they'd like to get another edge.
I'm sure they'd like to get like a bona fide like left tackle that has starting experience.
Which I'm sure 35 to 50 other teams would love to add another edge or left tackle. So it's like, are they perfect at those spots? No, they're not. But they're also not desperate at those spots like they are at wide receiver. So if you've only got a few open spots, and I don't know what that number is, who the hell knows. But
plus I think they're going to need another tight end. With Joey Belgian,
possibly Brock Falk seems to be kind of in the H-back role. No, I don't know how.
Brock Falk, Caleb Schmidt has been in it a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, right now, basically at tight end, they have Shaman and then Peyton Singletary, and there's not really anything else behind them in terms of like traditional tight ends.
So are those two missing out on like playmaking or more blocking?
Singletary's a pass catcher. Shaman can do a little bit of both. Shaman's like an elevated Lenny, kind of.
Okay.
More of a pass catching threat, but can stay in and be a blocker. Singletary's more of a pass catcher, but I mean, I don't think as much as we've seen them use the tight end, especially over the past week, I think you need more than 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think you're going to need at least one more. That they went out and got one, and then he hurt his knee. So
if you're going to run the ball the way they want to run the ball, you need tight ends.
Yeah,
you're not going to run the ball like that the way they want to with spread. I'm not saying they're going to use 12 personnel all the time, but like if you're going to use an H-back and you're going to use a tight end on at least some percentage of your plays, if you bring Shaman in, you can't be like showing the defense, oh, they brought the other tight end, the only other tight end they must be passing.
Right.
In which he's definitely a two-way tight end. But, I mean, you have to be able to, I mean, God forbid another guy goes down or something. But, that would make sense as well. But like we said, Yeah, whether you want to run the ball 40 times a game or not, you're not going to get through a season with 7 wide receivers.
Well, like Dave,
Makes sense.
you were like, oh, this is the ones because you saw D Wiggins out there, and I was like, no, you got to remember, there's only 7 wide receivers, so like your number 1 wide receiver is also taking reps with the 2s and the 3s, just to give you enough guys on the field as you rotate through your offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you not pull someone off of campus just to prevent injuries at that point? That's just a horrible situation.
The numbers game of it all. I'm sure they were calling Wyatt Fisher like, hey man, you got one more in you? Like, you want to move back?
I've been jokingly like retweeting, like there's been a couple wide receivers that have already announced they're going to the portal, and I just jokingly retweeted and being like, we need you at Cincinnati. It's like,
it's ridiculous.
Have you caught a pass in a real college football game? Yes. Okay. Well, we will at least look at you.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy how thin that room. Like, to go from restocking it to the quality that they did, where really like 1 through 10, 1 through 11, you were like, man, like you give this guy a chance, he can make some plays.
Well, just take out. I mean, you're going to take out Trey and Tyler for going pro. Like, not even counting them. Will Pauling, Jaden Thompson, Marcus Peterson, Drew Donnelly, Quincy Burrows. There's 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I'm missing some. So, like, there's 7 guys, 2 that we didn't expect to come back anyway. But, like,
and then
7
Norman
dudes.
Love and JoJo both got hurt.
Yeah.
Or were hurt when they got here. Like, that was a pretty chock full of nuts room that is now, you know, you're looking around and going, I mean, I like Donovan Ollie. I think D Wiggins has a chance to be very good, but
I think, yeah, D Wiggins, Donovan Ollie, Chris Scott, Barry Jackson. Barry Jackson's a freshman, so you never know. But like, there are some nice pieces, but not like those guys need to also be helped by 5 other dudes. Like they're not. These aren't elite talents that can stand on their own. As you know, this guy's just going to be our guy for 12 games. Stephen Bird had a nice run.
He did. Can confirm.
I'm trying to think what else jumped out to me. Jordan Young is pretty sticky even with one hand.
Yeah, I don't know when that happened.
They've got a lot of guys with broken hands. I noticed at least 2.
Yeah.
Or broken fingers or something.
It's been a rough spring injury-wise. Like, there's been more than normal. I wonder how much of that is just the interruption in the continuity of the conditioning program.
Yeah.
It's where you got a new guy come in. He's got to learn everybody on the roster, what's going to work here, what's going to work there.
But you just don't you're not as confident in your, and everybody always talks about like the best way to avoid injuries is to know what you're doing and play fast. Like you get injuries when you're hesitant, and there's just some injuries just happen. But you got everybody's learning, so no one's outside of maybe what's his name, the linebacker. Like nobody knows what they're doing on defense or offense, really.
Dorian Jones.
Yeah. So
yeah. It's been an interesting spring, just from when I've been able to be there, and obviously I missed probably half of it. But you still I feel like I got a pretty good vibe on things, and there's a lot of dudes in the red jerseys, and as Dave said, like I would want to practice over what those guys are going nonstop. The injured guys. Like, at least in practice, you get some guys to stand around for a little while. Yeah. Dragging weights around with the next band.
Probably 7 to 10 guys.
Yeah. All right. Basketball. Let's do basketball.
All right. What's there to talk about?
Well, your thoughts on Jamel Reynolds. We'll get that. Dave? You haven't given us really your thoughts on him yet.
He seems like a quality ad. You guys have touched on it a ton. I can't say that outside of the games that UC played Temple that I paid a whole lot of attention to what the Owls were doing, but I'm not real big on, discounting 6'10", 200 and whatever pound dudes that seem to have pretty good passing ability, pretty good touch around the basket, So I'm happy with it. I think the portal and his, I'm not going to change my opinion, but like, I think it all kind of works in concert. Like, show me what else happens,
Right?
and then I will, kind of have a much better take as a whole. Like, individually, you can really like someone or not like someone, but give me, like we always talk about with recruiting. Like, people will be like, what do you think of the recruiting class? I'm like, I don't know. Tell me when they all show up to school, and then I'll tell you like what I think of the recruiting class. But no, I think he, it would be. I think. See, like, here's the deal. If they can add Estrada, I like it even more because he seems like he's a good guy in the pick and roll.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you look at Reynolds highlights, like, it's pretty clear Wes wants to be a pick and roll, pretty heavy guy, and that's why you go get a big that can run the pick and roll like Reynolds does, and then you go find a point guard or a scoring guard that loves to come off a screen, catch it at the top, play downhill off the ball screen, and either score for himself or get to the bucket or find somebody. So, yeah, I just think, you're starting to get a more clear picture of things. Pretty clear that they decided to pass on Rink Mast in their pursuit of Jamil Reynolds. So, you're starting to get a better picture for where their attention is at.
Who's the lead ball handler next year if they aren't to get Estrada?
Somebody else that's not in the portal yet.
Is it James? Is he comfortable with him being that guy?
I don't know that you're comfortable with that right out of the gate. I think eventually, like, that's the plan.
Yeah.
But I don't know in November you can just be like, hey, freshman, like, figure it out. I don't think that's fair to the kid.
Yeah.
Unless this is a dude I really, really like, Jalen Hood-Schifino, unless he's like him.
He does not come around very often.
That dude was sweet this year.
Yeah, he was really fun to watch.
Yeah, everybody would like that, Dave. That's a great point.
So just go get a guy like that.
Yeah,
go get one of the best podcasters in the city.
What the hell are we paying these coaches for? Just go get those guys.
Yeah.
You just need a Montverde to Cincinnati pipeline. It's that easy.
Fired up. Like, let's go. I'm in. Estrada, I mean, he set his decision date, which is April 29th. It's pretty late in the portal window as the portal carries on. But for a guard, and maybe you're not going to see a guy that's like, what's 24/7 having as the number 6 guard in the country, or the number 6 transfer in the country. He's a 2-time conference player of the year. Maybe you're not going to see guys like that, but this is what I talked about last week when the Reynolds stuff started picking up steam. There's always going to be guards and wings come available. Like that, there's just there's so much less of a premium on finding those guys than there is finding competent big men. So on a big man, like if you feel like this is a guy that can really help us and be a starting quality big man, and I do think the staff feels you get Reynolds with Mike Rayfelt, you get him with Mike Roberts, he can be a starting level big man in the Big 12. Guards, like you can be a little bit more picky and kind of wait things out to see where things stand because you're going to have more options. That's just how it, it's the nature of the game. There's so many more.
Yeah, there's just more 6'3" people than 6'10" people
that can move and, Yeah,
I mean, if the guy from Bradley, I'm not sure he was a fit. If you catch my drift, but then if you
I don't know, like I don't count Eastern Europeans as white guys.
You have to.
They're crazy.
I like Frank Mast.
They're crazy.
He was one of the 4 players out of like 50 that I text in the portal that actually replied to me. So I have a soft spot for Frank Mast.
Do you see Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska? One of these things is not like the other.
It's fair. That part is fair. And he picked Nebraska.
Right. So then, if you think that that's going that way, whether it's him or Jordan this year, and you don't push, and he goes wherever, Mississippi State, then like, what was the next option versus like, okay, so let's say Estrada goes to Kansas State. Like, I'd feel better with whatever that next option is versus whatever my next option is with a big.
Agreed. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like,
and that's without me even knowing, like, we don't know who and that April 29th date kind of makes things difficult because, like, does UC get a sense before that maybe they're not getting him? Or do they play this out all the way to the end? And then does that then hurt them with whatever next would have been? That's a tough one to play out. So so what else is in the works that you're aware of? And you don't have to name names, but like if there even are names, but you and I have talked about a wing. That's why Matthew Cleveland, I guess, didn't list UC in the 50 schools or whatever that he said had been reached out to him. I always love that when they just fill up 280 fucking characters of schools. Like, come on, like you're not serious about all those teams. So why do you need to list all of the teams?
My favorite was Caden Shedrick from Virginia cutting his list to 18.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
I mean, he's going to Duke, right? Now that
it's got to be. He was a lock to Indiana, and then it was Duke's recruiting him, and he cut out like all communication, all momentum to Indiana was gone. So it's
and they had that freshman kid decommit or whatever, ask out of his
Mbako.
Yeah,
Mbako.
But so
that was 10 minutes after Flipkowski said he was coming back. I would like to point out.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So what is your thoughts on where where do we stand? Are there other names that they're kind of keeping on the burner that we're allowed to talk about?
I think there's still some things that probably haven't happened yet that they're keeping an eye on. That's the wild part about the portal now too, is it was just give before, like guys going into the portal. Now schools are fighting back, if you will. So what guys are doing are entering the portal as a way, or threatening to enter the portal as a way to get their NIL bumped up from their current school.
Leaking out that I might enter the portal.
Right. So there's been...
there's one you and I have been watching for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and he hasn't gone in. And I have to assume...
that they found out.
Because, you're going to talk... They talked to the coach about it. Yeah. And I'm sure that the school was like, we'd rather you stay. you're an all-conference big man that is very, very good. We would like to keep you here as opposed to sending you somewhere else. So that's a part of it now too. That there's just so many more layers.
Like,
as
look, the
this
big
evolves.
dude, the big guy from Syracuse. I don't think anybody expected that one.
No, I mean that one with the coaching change, it's hard to know exactly what to expect and what not. But like Pickle,
Just making way for Hunter Dickinson. Although I saw he's visiting Maryland.
yeah,
It's Maryland and Georgetown, I think, is what I saw.
that's one thing for everybody out there.
I just don't like part of the, and this is the old school part of me where like, if you want to enter the portal, like I understand, like go for it. But then I look at like where some of these dudes came from to where they're going, and I'm like, are you trying to get better? Are you trying to go to the tournament? Like, are you trying to improve your draft stock?
Apparently, Michigan is expecting to sit down with Hunter Dickinson and give their last pitch to get him to stay.
They're giving their last added zero to the check that they're going to write him.
Yeah.
And for everybody out there that is a basketball junkie and a basketball recruiting aficionado, just know, like Keegan has spent some time in that world. He's developed some connections in that world. So you're going to get
Too many connections.
A little bit more basketball recruiting out of Keegan than maybe anticipated when you found out that I had a new hire.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, as of last night, I was emailing high school coaches, seeing if their 5-star recruit was going to either decommit or reclassify. So that's what I'm on.
I don't envy you on that Indiana beat because there's a lot of noise that's not centered in reality that happens on that beat.
You don't know how many times I've been completely sucked into the momentum that is created, and then it's like, the eyeball emoji is the most used emoji on this Indiana beat, and all they have to do is do hashtag IUBB eyeballs, and my message boards are blown up. So it's like, what's going on?
You'll learn pretty quick why I stay on the football side of things.
I love college basketball. I will wholeheartedly admit that. So.
Keegan, they're asking thoughts on Flory Badunga. I'm interested to see how they differ from mine.
I don't know what thoughts you can have other than he's one of the more impressive basketball prospects I've ever seen in my life. I went to the state finals a couple weekends ago at Gainbridge. He was playing Ben Davis, who was undefeated, and I think it was the first undefeated team in like 10 years in Indiana. Yeah.
Yeah, they finished 17th in the country.
Yeah, he converted an alley-oop thrown from the half-court line while being fouled. And it was almost like he was on the rim and had to grab the ball and then put it back in. And he's just ridiculous. And I mean, we were both at the 3SSB live session last year when everyone just like, who is this? Like, what's going on? And I think he left that showcase with 30 offers or something. It was insane.
So I was there that first weekend in Indy.
Yeah.
And I watched him for 30 seconds and I tweeted out, I just watched a lottery pick that nobody knows about. Like,
yeah,
it was instant. It was instant how good he can be. And not only how good he can be, but how good he already was. And I don't think he's a guy that's like, Dave, I don't think he's seen 26 reigns. He's probably only seen 20, 21 reigns. Keegan doesn't get that yet.
No, not yet. I don't get that yet.
We'll tell you now, Keegan, real quick.
Go ahead.
This is how you find out the age of the Africans. So they're trained when they come over. How old are you? I am 16 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. What they're not trained to do is give you an honest answer to how many rains they've seen. Because in Africa, they don't measure the years by a calendar. They measure the years by a rainy season. And there's one rainy season a year. So when you ask them how many rains they've seen, That's how many years they've lived in Africa. So you say, how old are you? And they say, I am 16 years old. And you go, how many rains have you seen? And they go, I've seen 27 rains.
Then you add however many
Then
years.
you add how many years they've been in America, and that's how old they are.
Oh, God. Oh, well.
So here's what you're learning, Keegan. This place is a little bit more off the rails probably than the Indiana site that you worked for.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting in the 1 hour and 27 minutes.
Look, we take the coverage very seriously, but like it's coverage.
Bro, that's seconds, not minutes. It's 1 hour and 37 seconds.
Yeah, 1 hour and 37, just an hour.
Yeah. Well, to go off of that, my thing about Flory is when you're on a team with Travis Perry and Rowley Burgess and it's almost like they don't exist, that is when it's impressive. Because Travis Perry is going to break like the all-time scoring record in Kentucky by 600 points. So
just wait till Keegan meets Dan Simon.
You don't know about Dan Simon, Keegan.
Not yet.
Realignment expert, Dan Simon. Conference
realignment expert, Dan Simon.
Yeah. We have an insider.
Oh, gosh.
We have fun. That's what you're supposed to do. It's like we have fun. We take the coverage serious, but we also have fun in the process.
Yeah.
Keegan, do you think from the sources, from this reporting, from the tracking, do you think Flory will? What do you think his future holds? Is he going to reclassify? Is he going to stay at Kokomo for another year? What do you feel could happen there?
Reclassifying is interesting because it's like you don't really.
Logical.
I have a bad experience of reclassification just because of what Indiana saw with Christian Lander.
That's a point guard, though. Point guards and bigs reclassifying are two totally different animals.
Yeah, but what I will say is he's still
and Christian Lander wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready. He wasn't big enough. But what I'll say is Flory is still raw. Like the talent he has is absolutely undeniable. The impact that he has in the game is undeniable. But there's still times where it's very apparent that he's been playing basketball for 3 years. So the competitive nature of Indiana basketball when he can go up against Cathedral, Fishers, those kind of teams, I think staying through his high school career would be a very, very wise choice for him.
We disagree strongly.
You disagree strongly. Is that because you think a little bit more time will sway him to pursue other options?
No, because I don't know what good it does for him to dunk on 6'3" white kids from the middle of nowhere, Indiana, for another year.
Well, when I saw him go against Zane Dowdy and Ben Davis, and Dowdy was giving him some issues.
Okay, but he played four good big men all year. Watch the highlights. Like it's not. How is that? My thing is, how is that making Flory more polished when 85% of his games are against teams that have no chance? I fully get if he wants to play AAU in April and May and July and then I will also say my sources think it's very, very likely he stays in 2024. I just don't agree with it. I don't know how his game develops more than what it already has playing against the level of competition he will play against next season. Dave?
Do you think I'm going to cut in. Do you think the move is to reclassify?
Right.
Or do you think the move is to go to a Montverde, Arizona Compass, that type of thing?
If he stays, I think he stays at Kokomo.
Yeah, that's the thing. But then that's just putting him in a bad situation. Because I think if the goal is to get polished, I think going to an academy is a better move than going to UC. Because and I could be wrong, but he's expected to start day one, right?
Sure. He's a top 5 pick in the draft.
I don't know about that. The center position is. I think wings and guards is basically the whole NBA unless you're Giannis, and I don't know if he's at Giannis level.
He's different. Somebody would take him.
Or Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just watched one of the best centers in the country for 2 years, and he's a borderline undrafted free agent in the NBA.
He's not Flory.
He's not Flory, but
The reason that I say Flory is different is there are two things that translate pretty much to every level of basketball: block shots and rebounds.
yeah.
And Flory can block everything, and he's a dominant in and out of area rebounder. And those things translate.
He's still
He
very
is raw
one-sided.
offensively.
He's still
Sure.
very one-sided offensively, and he was.
Yeah, but even if that's and I've never seen him play, but even if that's the case, doesn't he get better and grow more against similar and even better players than doing it another year against players that you're significantly better than? Like, even if he needs to improve his offensive skills, like, who's making him get better offensively every day in practice in high school and stuff like that? Like, the backup center at Kokomo is really going to like make him become a better offensive threat.
I think Keegan could outplay that guy. I don't know who he is. No offense,
No.
Keegan.
So I mean, even if he we'll just be hypothetical. He reclassifies and goes anywhere. What he does defensively in the minutes that he's provided, and then where he grows offensively through practice against, let's just say, against playing against Vic and Reynolds. Like, I feel like that would make him become way better player just on its own by itself. Regardless of what you saw in a game, you wouldn't be like, if he came to UC, like, I would just tell him, like, get your ass in there, rebound, block shots, play your ass off. We got other guys that can score. We don't have anybody
he's
like
too good that role. He's too good. He's too good to
but,
do that.
But I mean, like, while he's in the game, though, like, we'll get you. You'll get the ball. You'll score. You'll clean. But like, you know, we're not asking you to come in and score 20.
You'll get fouled and go 4 for 12 from the line. You know,
They got
That's
guys that could do that already.
That's why they lost that game. Did you see those stats from the line?
Yeah.
I think it was 15% Kokomo shot against Ben Davis in the championship game. It was bad. So
I'll still take the block shots and the rebounds and
yeah,
the rim rocking, crowd electrifying dunks that he pulls off. And he's not bad with his back to the basket. The right hand hook is pretty good.
How would you?
He's got a good counter to that.
How would you compare his game to Neon Bedell?
You asking me?
Yeah, is that reference? Did that go right over your head?
Just
Have you seen Blue Chips?
no.
Oh my! Come on, you're a basketball dude and you haven't seen Blue Chips?
No, this has been 2 years. I'm still very raw. I had one good summer on the AAU circuit.
Oh no, it's
a
movie. It's a movie.
I know. No.
Penny Hardaway, Shaq, Nick Nolte, some white dude that goes to Indiana. You know, yeah, it's a college
Some
basketball
idiot
movie
coach that threw a chair across the floor
where they're paying players, and they go find Shaq in the backwoods of Louisiana, and his name's Neon Bedell. So I'm envisioning that's what Flory is.
Yeah.
He's not as thick as Shaq.
Well, no, but you got to watch it, man. It's a great movie.
He's not as thick as anyone.
Tony Fails TV. You know, Butch's mom wants a job in a house. Butch McRae.
These are just all references that I have no idea what you're talking
Butch McRae is Penny Hardaway. They got like real college basketball players who are like in the movie though. It's pretty cool. Like the teams they play have like Bobby Hurley and Calvert Cheney and a bunch of dudes that you would know.
Yeah. Now the one thing, the other thing I'll say about Flory is I really, really wish he was on the EYBL circuit and not through SSB.
Yeah.
Because I went up.
Oh, so you don't think it's good that he has to play against a bunch of 6'4" white kids all the time?
Yes, I'm explaining this. But that is different from his current situation with Indiana Elite, where me and my buddy Kyler Staley go up to watch Travis Perry one weekend, and Flory, obviously. And it's a summer thing with Indiana Elite, and it's like this tournament. And I think they won 85-20. So even in the AAU circuit and during the summer, he's not getting out of him what he could. So I really, really wish that he was on EYBL, but I know that will never, ever, 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 ever happen. So
why is that, Keegan?
Powers that be. Powers that
more.
be. Powers that be.
Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Did you get that one? I'll explain it later.
I feel like that's a reference that hits about 25 minutes southwest from where I'm sitting.
Where are you located at right now?
Me?
Yeah.
I live in the east side of Cincinnati, but I'm very familiar with Ross. My aunt and uncle were administrators at Coleraine in Northwest, and they lived kind of like right on the Ross line. My little cousin played football, Ross Rams football, when he was in like Pee Wee. So
Gotcha.
I know all about the west side where you're from.
Northwest?
Yep. Aaron, I don't know if you might know my aunt and uncle actually from the school. You've met them at the football games.
Yeah, I've met them. I don't know that I know. I mean, I don't know their names.
Oh, well, we'll mention offline, but
Anyhow. No, I let's put it this way. There's a lot on the line for the people of Kokomo for Flory to return.
Yeah.
Flory is essentially having the time of his life living in Kokomo, Indiana right now. Like, he's the biggest star in the city.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a good point too, though. It's like as much as we as UC fans or whoever is truly recruiting him would love him to come to our program as soon as possible. Like, put yourself in his shoes. Why would you want to leave high school early if you're him?
Right.
Yeah. This hasn't gotten old like LeBron.
We joke about like he's not getting any better dunking on 6'3" white dudes. If I'm him, I'm like, I'm loving dunking on 6'3". Like, why would I want this to stop?
And like, look, did you go up for any of his games at Kokomo?
I did not. That was Kyler's job.
From what I heard, that place was an absolute zoo.
Yeah.
Twice a week. Like, just an absolute madhouse. The town, and he is from my time being around him a little bit, and I know you've probably heard and seen this as well. He is an insanely nice kid.
Oh, yeah.
Very intelligent, very well put together, knows, like, has a good understanding of what's happening as his legend grows. He runs that town. Like, he is the big man on campus, but not a college campus. A whole town loves him dearly.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. And I could see and I think it's probably far more likely than not that he stays in 2024 and he stays in Kokomo and they try to win a championship and, see where it goes from there. And I don't agree with it. I think he should go to college.
Yeah.
Whether it's Cincinnati or wherever. Like, you start your NBA
Cincinnati
clock
or
a year
Indiana,
early.
we all know.
You start your NBA clock a year early. You get to continue your development at a different level. Mm-hmm. And you get to work on more of those things that we're talking about that, there are still some holes in his game. He's not a perfect prospect, in large part because he's been playing basketball for 3 years. He's picked it up almost faster than anyone in the history of I've only been playing basketball for 3 years. But there are things that he needs to develop. Doing it again, running it back at the high school level, and like you said, like not being at Montverde or Lake Erie or Arizona Compass or IMG, like whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't see, because I'm looking at it from a different lens. I don't see the huge value in it, but I also understand BMOC, big man on campus, like big man in the whole damn city.
Yeah.
You think he's paying for anything around town?
No.
Like, you think he's not like going to McDonald's and they're just like, here's your 8 cheeseburgers, sir. I don't know.
Going back to what you said about like him being the nicest kid, I saw him dunk on someone and him apologize. He apologized before he hit the ground.
Yeah.
Like he was still hanging on the rim and he said sorry and then ran down the floor. I couldn't believe it.
Actually, you just said that and now Dave's out on him.
Yeah.
I know how Dave Simone's brain works. He's now out on Flory.
Not yet. Did he help him up too?
No, he
Okay,
dunked on him, hung on the rim, and kind of like his body weight went into him, and he fell down, and then he came down, and he was like, "Sorry," and then ran down the floor.
That's all right. There.
It was a courtesy sorry. That's a little
Yeah,
different.
it was a courtesy sorry.
Yeah.
If he would have stood there and helped him up, Dave would have been done.
Done.
Yeah.
He's used to the Justin Jackson days, just anger.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm from a time way more angry than Justin Jackson.
Chad,
horses got punched, roommates got burned.
Yeah. What's your everyone's got an opinion on this. What's your stance on Xavier Booker?
I think he went to the absolute worst program for him to go to.
And now, especially because everybody decided to come back.
Yeah.
No, just in style of play.
Well, right, but still, now it's just like style of play, and it's a super crowded roster.
Like, if he would have went to Auburn, he would have been a star.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just how Bruce Pearl uses his bigs. Rim run, shoot threes, pick and pop, pick and roll. Like, he probably wouldn't have spent 5% of Auburn's offensive possessions posting up. And that's not who Xavier Booker is. Like, he's not a post-up guy. Izzo's going to demand him to, like, get down there on the block with a hand up.
Set a lot of screens.
He's okay. Like, he's good in the pick and roll, pick and pop. He'll be effective there. But I just, like, they don't run like he needs to run. He really needed to be out in the open floor and play kind of a high tempo. Like, I forget Auburn specifically. That's just because they were recruiting him heavily. I think he belonged in the SEC or the Big 12.
Yeah.
I just don't think the Big 10 is a great fit for who he projects to be as a player. I think he's one of those guys. He's going to play in college, and people are going to kind of know of him, but not really, like, he's not a name that's going to pop. And then after, like, if he continues to work, he'll spend 3 or 4 years in the NBA, and all of a sudden everybody will be like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, this dude's shooting 38% from 3 and scoring 17 points a game and getting 9 rebounds. Like, I like his game a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think Michigan State was a great fit for him.
Yeah. Once I heard that he was still on JV as a sophomore at Cathedral, that's when I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're that good and if you're that naturally talented, there's got to be something else where you're not like a contributor on varsity. And Izzo coaching him, that's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing works out.
So you're not as high on his talent as I am.
No, not really. I mean,
Really?
I saw Flory dominate him multiple times.
I like Flory better. Make no mistake there. I think Xavier Booker is, with his size, his ability to shoot, and the way he runs the floor, there's a place for him in professional basketball.
Not in the Big Ten.
No,
I think he's going to get beat up in the Big Ten.
The Big Ten. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved Garvey DeWall.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we watched him in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
He just came out of nowhere.
I mean,
where is he at now? Has he went anywhere yet?
Not yet. He didn't sign with Providence because they were afraid Cooley was going to leave. And he's still kind of out there. I love Garvey DeWall.
He's fun.
Slicker with the ball than people realize, and I think he can be a top 5 perimeter defender.
Yeah.
By the time he's a junior or senior, that kid's defense was outstanding. Outstanding.
Yeah, and he just couldn't miss that day in Fort Wayne. I mean, he made Gabe Cupps look rough, and that does not happen often.
I know that guy. He's from Centerville.
Trust me, I know him too.
Garvey, I don't think so. Like, I don't really know where that one's going.
Can't even win the Ohio State championship 2 years in a row.
Oh, can't even do it. He's horrible. Wakes up at 6 a.m. every day.
I mean, he
gets weights in.
He goes to Centerville. What do you want? What do you expect?
First in, last out, sneaky athletic.
That's the like town next to where I went to high school.
Where'd you go to high school?
Keegan, it's going to take you a little while to adjust to the Bearcat Journal way of things.
Springboro.
First one and last one out. Sneaky.
Yeah. Jim Rat, dad's a coach.
Yeah. I mean, there's 15. Yeah, more athletic than he looks.
Yeah.
Sneaky
really
fast.
Really high basketball. I can't forget high basketball IQ.
Shooter.
Student of the game, pounding nails, big lunch pail kind of guy.
Yeah. Now you're catching on.
Does the dirty work.
We're not going to get into Keegan and I are going to have to do like serious college basketball, like from the road content once we both get situated, him with graduation and me with Kelly and everything. We'll get out on the road a little bit in May, and then July, we'll see. I don't even know. They're having EYBL, they're having the Peach Jam over the 4th of July weekend, Dave. It starts July 3rd.
That's, doesn't seem to make a ton of sense to me, but I'm not really in on these type of things.
When was it last year? I can't remember.
It's always been the week after. Like, it always started 4 days after the 4th of July or whatever. Whenever that, like, Thursday was after the 4th of July is when the Peach Jam started.
This is not really my bag, as you can tell. So, yeah.
It's one of the worst run things I've ever been a part of in my entire life. And that's my opinion. That's me saying that.
No,
I'm not speaking for anyone else.
If you don't know the right people, you are absolutely correct. It is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, it is a nightmare. And it took me a long time to know the right people. Like, the way that they've done things, the way Nike has handled the media and everything is atrocious. But they don't care.
Yeah, I didn't even get a credential for that last year. I just went down, paid my way. Grabbed Liam McNeely after one game. I tried to talk to Dylan.
Oh
no!
Here, you're on a UC podcast. Tell us how terrible that Duncombe dude is that's going to Xavier now.
I mean, I'm not going to speak ill of someone who had to get surgery on his sinuses, but he just he was ranked pretty high coming out of high school, wasn't he? He was like a top 100 recruit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never saw it. I never got even anything close to a sample size to make a hard and fast. I didn't expect him to be at Xavier. I thought it was going to be Miami, Kent State, like Toledo type thing. I think him landing at Xavier is great for him, but I just don't see, unless he can figure it out, kick it into gear, and just find something. because when Mike Woodson is at media days this year before the season and saying I have to get him to take it a little bit more serious when he's going into his third season at Indiana as a college athlete, that's when it's like, okay, there's something back there that's not going right. And there's,
that's not great. And that's not really a ringing endorsement when you're whatever, red shirt sophomore, whatever year these guys are anymore. And the head coach is like, yeah, if you only took things more serious, you'd have a chance to get on the floor.
So you got Trace Jackson Davis in front of you taking minutes. Now you got Malik Renew. And then you got Race Thompson, who's basically doing what you would do, and you're not even taking it serious enough. Okay, well, you're back burner.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't expect him to be like a guy at Xavier. I think he'll contribute, but it's really someone you plan around. So
fair enough. Where did our friend go?
I don't know. He just keeps on cutting out.
Oh, he does.
Sorry,
he just disappears at times.
Look. I'm a single parent now. The things that my wife used to handle while I would do these shows are now my responsibility, even from the hospital. Like,
yeah.
Not to mention the dogs, the cat and heat every other day.
I'm not ready for this shit. It's why I hired Keegan. You're now my oldest child, Keegan.
Sounds good. That's an honor.
I'm not sure I'd say honor.
It's something. All right. I don't have a lot else. You, Dave?
We could have some realignment news next week.
Okay.
I believe Dan is going to be in Las Vegas. And we, and our loyal listeners that know Dan know how much he likes Las Vegas. And that's where the deals are made. Over big steak dinners and expensive bottles of red wine. So I think that, if you never know, you might get some news from Dan.
Aaron, is there any chance you can maybe pull up a picture of conference realignment expert Dan Simon for us to show Keegan?
But Dan...
If he had a Twitter account, it'd be way easy.
He does have a Twitter account, dummy.
Is the realignment news that the Pac-12 is just falling into the Pacific Ocean?
Maybe.
We'd have to ask Dan.
But if you want Dan to be on the podcast next week, you might have to move it to Thursday.
Okay.
But what's his last name?
Simon.
It's like Simone, but without the E.
Dan Simon Sports.
Conference realignment expert Dan Simon.
Is it in his bio?
That's his Twitter name.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh. I saw a blue check mark and like a really well put together guy. I'm guessing that's not what I'm looking for.
He's at Realignment DS.
Realignment DS. Yeah, that's what it is. That's the guy. It's a longtime friend of the show.
Yeah, he's got. It's
a realignment expert. There's a yacht and his Twitter header.
As hard as it is to believe, Dan actually is about as accurate as the people that get paid to report on these things. So
there you go. That's a picture of him.
He looks eerily familiar.
Okay. You guys are the worst.
We're the best.
Well, look, everybody else has got a realignment expert, right? There's like all the West Virginia, the Star Wars guys.
Yeah, Dan's a real damn person.
So we created our own conference realignment expert. We named him Dan Simon.
I hope he's a big fan of the Arrow and the CW.
Dan doesn't see a lot of the
There he
CW.
There he is.
Where is that picture from?
Is that from your pool? Or from Dan's pool on vacation in Florida?
Yeah,
That's from Danco Joe.
Danco Joe.
Another Dan Simon sighting in Destin, Florida.
Yeah, we did so here's
Give him the backstory.
Keegan, here's how serious this podcast is. We take a family vacation every year, my whole family. Last year I did the podcast from in the pool. While the podcast that week was in the pool while everyone else in the family was throwing me Jello shots and doing a conga line around the pool.
That was one of the very worst episodes I've ever produced, ever.
It was one of the best episodes that we've ever done.
Your signal from the pool was god awful.
Well, no, then I had to switch to my phone.
Everything was a mess.
I did it. I started in the hot tub. That was too far away from the Wi-Fi.
Then there was a DJ. You're like, turn it down. I'm trying to podcast.
My brother DJs, so we got the lights going and the DJ music going.
The inflatable donkey.
Yep, the Pedro. He made an appearance. Yeah. So, we like to have a good time. On occasion, we'll talk serious topics, but I
don't think you researched us well enough, Keegan.
I leave the serious stuff to Aaron and Brent on Monday nights.
I am so disappointed in myself on how long that took me to get. That's journalism degree coming through.
Yeah, we none of us have those.
The funny part is that at times over this whole realignment cycle,
Dan has been more right than anyone.
There have been moments where Dan has said things that have actually come true a day or two later.
Some reporters would lead you to believe a deal has been imminent for 6 months.
Yes. Those guys emanate from the state of Oregon, I think, and California.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Some people would call them the Johns.
The Johns. Yeah, you would never have to worry about this stuff. You guys just sit there in your nice little fit. Yeah, that's one question I have. What is Indiana? What do they waste all this money on that they get from the Big 12 network? Because the football team is stunk forever. And they literally just giving the basketball program $49 million a year, and then all the other sports split up $1 million.
Well, when you have to buy out a contract of a certain coach for $10 million
every 2 or 3 years,
every 2 or 3 years. No, I mean that's the interesting thing, and it's been brought up with the short media rights deal. If the football team continues down this road, at what point do you say, hey, Notre Dame's waiting, Kansas is waiting, people who can bring in more money, so you can just get the boot and go to the Big 12.
Never boot Indiana.
I don't know.
No,
if football is king and football,
no one's getting kicked. I mean, you're too young to realize this. Temple actually did get kicked out of the Big East for being too bad at football back. Probably even when I was real young. But no one's getting kicked out anymore. At least not for a long time.
It's just super leagues.
If people are getting kicked out, it's certainly not Indiana. It's the Mississippi schools in the SEC, stuff like that. Indiana's way too valuable of basketball property for the Big Ten to ever do anything to them.
As an Indiana insider, can you confirm that Tom Allen actually disowned his son and kicked him to the kiddie table to have his star linebacker sit at the big kids table with all the other adults during Thanksgiving dinner?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Nailed
I've
it.
never seen a kid
Well-
disrespected that much in my life.
What do you mean about
When-
Mike McFadden?
Yeah, when Micah McFadden got hurt, who went in for him, Keegan?
No, when he got kicked out of the game for his
Or kicked out,
vicious
yeah.
his vicious assault on Desmond Ritter. I mean, he should have gone straight to the Bloomington Penitentiary.
Who replaced him on the football field that day?
Either Thomas Allen or Aaron Casey.
It was Thomas Allen.
Thomas Allen.
And after the game, he was like, "Look, if my son didn't suck so bad, we would have won that game."
Hey, his son's an assistant coach now, so he doesn't hate him that
Yeah,
much.
that shows you how much
Yeah.
his potential was as a linebacker.
Nepotism runs wild in the Allen family.
Or he absolutely hates his kid to make him stay on Indiana's staff of all schools in the country. He's like, no, you ain't going to a good school. You're stuck here in Indiana.
I hope your subscribers aren't watching this.
They all loathe Indiana football.
Do
It's-
Indiana
okay.
fans think Elio is as dumb as I do?
It depends if they're winning or not.
It's kind of like the
If-
Butch Jones, like, hold the rope. Everybody thought it was great when he first started, and then when he just continually made up stupid catchphrases, we're all like, Jesus Christ, just go away.
Now it's been very funny to see him come into the press conferences, loss after loss, and he just grips the side of the podium, white knuckle, and he doesn't have a voice because he just starts
he's-
screaming, and he doesn't
he's
have a voice, period. And then he has to say, "No, we'll go back to practice. We'll get better. Thanks, guys." And then he'll like just mumble like Elio.
Elio.
Every press conference, he
Elio.
ends it with Elio. Depends on how happy he is, how vibrant the phrase is.
Yeah, those taglines are great until you look like
Yeah.
a jackass when you're saying it, at the end of a 56-14 beat down to Ohio State or something like that.
Yeah, which I had to be at that game in Columbus, and if the media food wasn't just chef's kiss perfect, it would have been a really, really bad day.
Keegan, I'll give you a warning here. Okay.
Don't compliment Ohio State.
No. It's a much more important warning than that.
I mean, don't do that either.
But if you're planning on eating pregame before games at Nippert Stadium,
Okay.
you're going to want to kiss ass to Dave Simone because the food at the Simone family tailgate is far superior to anything that you will experience in the press box at Nippert Stadium.
Perfect.
Oh, you don't have to kiss my ass. Just show up.
Well, I mean,
And do some damn Jello shots, because Aaron and Brett won't ever do any.
Before I cover a game.
It's like
Oh, yeah.
2 hours before. It's fine. Yeah, I'm the fan on the team here.
Dave
so-
doesn't cover the games. He gets drunk.
He gets drunk. Well, when my media food at Indiana has been gas station prepackaged sandwiches and insomnia cookies, I will give them that. And then I go to UC and it's like grilled chicken and
Well, if it's anything like
don't
what
even
they
know what it
served
was.
in the football stadium, I can totally relate. Although I think they did have a nice soft pretzel, but I think it took me a quarter and a half to get it.
You missed the middle of the first all the way to halftime.
I mean, they ran out of freaking ice, and it was a 9,000 degrees, or they ran out of water, and it was 9,000 degrees, and they were just giving people like cups of ice.
yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah. So,
All right,
yes,
let's-
you are obviously you're a Bearcat Journal guy now, so you're obviously invited to the Simone family tailgates.
And they will peer pressure you into Jello shots. They will try. Every one
No,
of them.
I'm not doing that.
Every one of them. I'm just warning you. They will walk around with that little soft-sided cooler, like opening the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. Have you seen Pulp Fiction?
No. Do I?
Okay, so in the chat earlier, they're like, Dave, he won't get that reference. That movie's old. I'm like, it came out 6 years before he was born, which is the equivalent to when Hoosiers came out 5 years after I was like, after I was born. Like, it's not like the movie came out in the 60s.
Kids. You got work to do, Keegan. You got work to
Yeah,
do.
just send me a required reading list. Just tweet at me, whatever.
Just
And then
familiarize with yourself with Dan Simon's Twitter feed.
I just followed him and turned on notifications. So
Well, he doesn't tweet often. If he does,
Well,
which
that's
is why I need the notifications.
it's probably important.
That's hilarious. I'm still very mad at myself that it took so long. I can't believe that.
Welcome to Bearcat Journal, Keegan.
I'm very, very happy to be here.
May God have mercy on your soul.
That's going to wrap it up. We'll see what happens next week. It might be Wednesday. It might be Thursday. We'll figure it out from there. Thank you to everybody for joining in. Thank you for welcoming Keegan with open arms. I promise you guys, he's going to be an outstanding addition to this team. And he probably got in and bit off more than he could chew agreeing to do this, but it'll be okay. We'll see you next week. This is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com.